CNT125, we're working on Chapter 9 on Network Risk Management. Let's dive right in. First thing they define for us is a couple general terms. Under security risks, they mention things like data breach, hacker, etc. So real quickly, data breach is really any unauthorized access to your network. That's just kind of a common term that's used. And when we consider security network, we do have some fundamental questions. What is at risk? And this is going to change for each company. What is at risk? Is it financial data? Is it personal data? Is it drawings or a patent kind of information to protect your company goods? What is at risk? And the second one is, what do I stand to lose if any of this is damaged or lost? And again, in a company, if you lose financial data, now you might have a lawsuit. If you're a manufacturing company and you lose some of your detailed drawings of machines and so forth, your competitor might now have a leg up. So this will change for each facility, but these are some of the essential questions you need to ask. What is at risk? Original meaning for the term hacker was a good thing. A hacker was somebody that was really, really good at computers and could kind of know the ins and outs and really know how to use this new computer thing. Today, the term hacker has basically a negative connotation. These are the people that are trying to get unauthorized access to networks, computer systems, etc. So we actually do have categories: white, black, and gray hat hackers. White hat hackers is what we're going to be, ethical hackers. We're trying to learn. We're trying to learn about our systems and protocols and so forth. Black hat hacker is the one that most people think of. Ooh, I'm sorry. Using their skills to bypass all the security systems and compromise data, etc. Gray hat might be something of a company that you're employing to check the security on your network. They're there. They're not there to do any illegal activity. They have kind of their own code, but they're there to just maybe kind of prove a point that you are vulnerable. All right, come on. There we go. So vulnerability, general term, vulnerability, any weakness of a system, process, architecture, could be a computer, could be a server, could be a router, could be a switch, could be a firewall. That is a vulnerability. Anything that could be exploited. And with that, exploiting is actually taking advantage of that. Maybe it is an old operating system that is known to have a security flaw that people can circumvent by rebooting the system or something like that. A zero-day exploit is when this is really only known by, hackers or somebody in the nefarious range, if you will. This loop or this piece of the operating system has not been patched, and the manufacturer doesn't know yet to patch it. So people are trying to take advantage of it or using that to their advantage. So as we move into our first categories here of risks in network, we have people risks. And what we have to remember is over half of our security breaches are because of human errors, ignorance, or omissions. I just didn't know. I just didn't know that was a problem. I didn't realize that was a problem. I wasn't aware that that was a problem. And this very well could come from your employees, your very own employees in your company. And that is an important thing to remember, because eventually you're going to be sitting on the IT team and you're going to have to be educating your users into, please don't do this because this is a security risk. Please don't do this. This is a problem. Please don't do this. This is how people get into our network, etc. That's the easiest way to circumvent any kind of security, firewalls and all those kind of things. The easiest way is to take advantage of people's mistakes, people's misinformation, or they're not aware of something. And that is the realm of what's called social engineering. Social engineering is taking advantage of this, taking advantage of people's unknowledge, their lack of knowledge, to gain access to a network, either through a password or something like that. Which leads us to, I use this guy as an example. This right here is Kevin Mitnick. He was a very well-known hacker. has written a number of different books, including this one, Ghost in the Wires. I've read that one. It's an interesting read. I kind of put it in two categories. It's interesting to see the creativeness of Kevin, but on the other side, I got really annoyed because I'm like, wow, I can't believe you were doing these things. So if you're a reader, this might be one that you want to check out. It's a good book, but it was a tough read at times because I'm like, wow. Well, his thing was he was really good at social engineering. He would dig through a dumpster outside of a business, pull up some printouts of things, get little tidbits of information, use those tidbits of information, start making phone calls, faking he was an IT person, if you will, and saying, hey, I'm down at the blah, blah, blah facility, and I'm having trouble. Can you help me out with, I knew they changed the password, blah, and the person on the other end of the phone would start offering up information that he needed. Just because he knew enough, he would offer that, and they would fill in the gaps for him. That is an amazing example of social engineering. So I throw him out there as an example. Some of you may or may not know him. So social engineering actually does have a couple different categories, a couple different ways of exploiting information from people. The first one is phishing. This is actually very common and very much a problem today. This would be something you need to educate your employees with all the time. Emails coming in, looking legit, giving you links that look legit, giving you pages and things that look legit. As you click on the link, they're taking you to a fake website and gleaning your information, whether it be a username, password, account number, credit card, anything. Most of us are aware of this. Most of us are able to spot this. But again, you're going to have employees that you're going to need to educate on this, making them aware that this is a fake email. Please do not click on this link or use this link, kind of thing. Baiting is basically malware infected stuff. Could be a file that's out there that people are downloading. It could actually be a USB drive that has all kinds of infected data on. And actually, a side note, this is just one study I found. I just pulled this one up as an example, but it's really common. If you have a USB drive, and in this study they actually littered a parking lot or campus with like 300 USB drives that were infected. Not really. It was kind of a learning, or I should say a test file. But they scattered around a campus, and the vast majority of them were picked up, and over almost half of them, almost all of them were picked up, and over half the people opened them up to try to find out who they belonged to, and almost half of them opened a file in there. So that is a perfect example of, if somebody wants to circumvent your security, they can do something as simple as that, plant a USB drive or something of that nature, and people want to be helpful, like, oh, I want to get this back to who it belongs to, and they're going to plug it into their computer and away it goes. So again, in a company, you need to be educating people into, please, please, please don't do this. This could be our competitor. This could be somebody trying to hack into our network. It's actually a very common problem because of our human nature. We usually do want to help people, and that's the nature behind that attack. Quid pro quo is offering a gift or something in exchange for, hey, how about I take you to lunch, or have blah blah blah, and trying to get some piece of information back. And again, in companies, this is not that uncommon. Do a little swap favor action. Tailgating is, you come to a door and, you're supposed to be using your security badge to swipe in to get into the door, and somebody comes up behind you with an armload of stuff saying, hey, can you hold that for me? And you literally hold the door for them and let them in, and they're not supposed to be there. So these are all social engineering things that people can use and or take advantage of to circumvent all the other work you're doing to secure networks. So there almost needs to be a little plan of action of like developing, planning, evolving, adjusting, adapting kind of thing. And that's what they're trying to show you with this here too. Now, insider threat. Some of the biggest problems you have are insider threat. The people inside of your own network, inside your own facility, causing issues or problems. And this could be a current employee that's there, could be a former employee, it could be a disgruntled employee that has knowledge of the network and wants to do damage. Again, it could be unintentional because somebody doesn't know, or it could actually be intentional because it is a disgruntled employee. So these actually pose a very high risk because they do already have some insider knowledge of systems, drives, folders, that sort of thing. So what a lot of times companies do is as they're hiring people is go through a series of background checks. So as you get hired by, let's just say you go out and get hired by a company to do basic work. I'm just going to be an employee there. You might have a background check done just to make sure that you don't have any kind of record of theft or things like that in the past. That's actually relatively common for most jobs. Now, take this up a step. Most of you guys are going into some kind of IT job. You're definitely going to have background checks because they need to know, are you trustworthy, or are you going to glean data off the top of our servers and sell it to our competitor? So this is one of those things I like to remind people of. If you have a clean record already, keep it clean. It's really going to help with interviews down the road, job applications down the road. The other thing that companies do is look at principle of least privilege. So when you are a new employee, they're going to give you access to things, but only as much as you need, as long as you need it, and that's it. And it usually kind of quarantines you from other things that you shouldn't have access to. That's a common principle that companies will use. Some will even use checks and balances where you have scheduled access. You're only supposed to be on this system on Fridays. That's the only time you're going to log into it. In addition to doing things like job rotations, vacations, etc. If you get entrenched in a company and always do something at a certain time, etc., if they shake it up and force you to work a different shift or do vacation, you cannot be consistently there doing something nefarious for the company. And it kind of shakes things up, and other people come in going, hey, what's this? What's going on? And also the idea of data of loss prevention. This is what we talked about too, about flash drives, USB drives. It is not uncommon for a company to have computer policies where you can't plug a USB drive in. They actually shut those ports off. That way you cannot pull data off the network and or bring malware or viruses and things into the network. They might even have it written that you're not going to save any files out to a shared, Dropbox or Google Drive or anything like that. That way you're not siphoning information off from the company too. Those things might be limited. All right, we'll come back in the next one, start talking about technology risks.